Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 2020 Esto Perpetua Awards, done in a completely different way for the very first time. My name is Doug Petcash. I am the morning anchor here at KTVB News, Channel 7 in Boise, and it's my pleasure to once again host this incredible ceremony that has really become part of my life and something I look forward to every year. This year, 3 months later, and in a different format, but just as special, if not even more special. I have become feeling at home doing Zoom meetings, I have to say, because for about 3 months, I worked and reported from home, and it was a challenge for sure. And all throughout that time, I would appear on the morning news like this with a nice shirt and a jacket and sweatpants down below. I can assure you that for this auspicious occasion, I am not wearing sweatpants. I'm wearing shorts. Yes, I had to switch up the wardrobe a little bit. Well, as I mentioned, this is certainly different. But then again, what about 2020 hasn't been different? Certainly one for the ages. You know, different means challenging, but it also means special. And in this case, historic. So how appropriate that we are honoring historians who have continued to do their incredible work through these challenging times. And so definitely it is my pleasure and honor to be part of this ceremony honoring these 14 individuals and one organization with the 2020 Esto Perpetua Award. And this year is the 21st Esto Perpetua Award ceremony. And it's hosted by the Idaho State Historical Society, of course, and its Board of Trustees with the generous support from the Foundation for Idaho History. And I'm noticing that somebody must be looking down on me right now as the sun streaks through my shades. And so, tonight the Esto Perpetua Award, as I mentioned, will be presented to 14 individuals and one organization for outstanding accomplishments in preserving and promoting Idaho's heritage. These awardees preserve and promote the history of this great state from all parts of Idaho: Pocatello, Emmett, Wallace, Moscow, Rexburg, Boise, and Lewiston. It's my pleasure at this time to introduce Bill Bouticci, Chairman of the Idaho State Historical Society Board of Trustees. Bill?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's very first virtual Esto Perpetua Awards. My name is Bill Bouticci, and I'm the Chairman of the Idaho State Historical Society for District 3. And I'd like to thank the Foundation for Idaho History for contributing this tonight in their work. And on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'd just like to congratulate all our recipients of this year's awards. It's through your work and your dedication of Idaho history and the preservation of such an education that you enhance the quality of life for the people in Idaho, for all that come here to visit. It's you that tell the story for us, and without you, we couldn't have done this. And tonight, we'd like to recognize you in this ceremony and just show everybody what you've done. And we do look forward to next year, where we hope to see you in person at our next Esto Awards, so that we can again visit face to face. But we'll let the night begin, and thank you again. Let's have a great time.
And thank you very much, Bill, for that. I also want to point out that we have amazing attendance for this first ever virtual Esto Perpetua Awards ceremony. Right now, the 127 people, including, of course, our incredible awardees this evening, are now taking part. It is my pleasure now at this time to introduce the Historical Society's Executive Director and State Historic Preservation Officer. He's now leading the Society through really an unprecedented and challenging time because of the coronavirus. Those challenges include figuring out where to make more revenue, because not as many people can visit the sites as they had been before the pandemic struck. And also, they even had to be closed for a while, of course. But if anyone can lead this organization through the rough seas that we are facing right now, is Janet Gallimore. Jan?
Thank you, Doug. Well, what a great partnership Doug and I have had over 12 years. I think every time we start this program, we reminisce to our first cup of coffee at Flying M, which seems a lifetime ago, but I'm so grateful for our friendship I'm grateful for KTVB's support in helping the Idaho State Historical Society build its family of people who love our great state. Congratulations, of course, tonight to our class of 2020 Esto awardees on our 21st year of celebrating history makers in Idaho. Everyone is here this evening because you've made a really major impact in your community, to our field of history, and for the future. Of course, our agency preserves and promotes Idaho's history, and the State Museum and the State Archives, the Preservation Office, Historic Sites programs are really remarkable. But we are nothing without our deep connections to our community and our partnerships, such as all of yours this evening, in advancing the importance and value of history across our great state. The work that you're being honored for really reflects a lifetime of achievement and your commitment to and passion for history, and especially Idaho's history. We really couldn't be more proud of each of you tonight and the personal legacy that you have left for Idaho's future. And I am honored, and I know that our entire agency is honored to be partners with you in this amazing history enterprise and in sharing our love for Idaho. I want to make a great call out tonight for Tricia and Mark and Allison for pivoting Esto to virtual this year. We had over 150 attendees signed up, so that's amazing, and so we're very grateful. Members, donors, awardees, community members in the audience tonight, and I am really so glad to see everyone and glad that you're here. I want to say thanks as well to our amazing Board of Trustees who provides leadership for our agency, the Foundation for Idaho History, the Governor and First Lady, and for our legislative support of this program. We're also very thankful for the Foundation for Idaho History, who supports us as our nonprofit support group and really helps do amazing things from fundraising to fundraising and represents our community. So again, congratulations to everyone. We're so grateful for all of the work that you're doing to advance our story. And it is my great privilege to introduce my friend and colleague, Philip Thompson, tonight, who is the director of the Idaho Black History Museum, for opening comments. Thank you all again, and I hope that we can see each other again soon.
Welcome to the Idaho Historical Society Esto Perpetua Awards, featuring a myriad of people telling the unique history of Idaho, each one contributing to the unique cultural fabric of the story of Idaho. Many are unaware, such as Idaho's Black history. The Idaho Black History Museum is trying to tell the story of the Black Idaho experience throughout Idaho, starting with York, who came with Lewis and Clark, through the modern day, refugee resettlement, and other aspects of Idaho's lesser-known history. Each story you'll hear this evening is important because it contributes to the unique cultural heritage of our beautiful state. Please join us this evening as we appreciate and recognize each and every individual who's telling their unique perspective of Idaho's history.
And thank you, Philip Thompson, very much. For those of you who maybe haven't had a chance yet to check out the Idaho Black History Museum, it has a profound story to tell, a very positive story as well. And if you want, from the safety of your home, to see that full story, I did a long form interview with Philip back in February for Black History Month that features the Black History Museum, and you can find that on ktvb.com and just search Black History Museum and Viewpoint. Moving on now, today is actually a very big day in Idaho history. Today marks the 110th anniversary of the Big Burn forest fires. On August 20th and 21st, 3 million acres of forest burned in just 2 days, from Western Washington across the Panhandle into Montana. The town of Wallace suffered major damage as well. If you haven't had the chance to see this Big Burn exhibit at the Idaho State Museum, it is definitely worth it. It's powerful, it's moving, it's kind of loud too, actually, but it tells that incredible story. And I realize that many of you are far away now and can't really travel because of the situation with the pandemic, but when things get back to normal, and they will, I encourage you all to check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Well, on that day, back on August 20th and 21st, many firefighters were lost. And perhaps the most famous story of survival is that of Ranger Ed Pulaski, a U.S. Forest Service ranger who led a crew of about 44 men to safety in an abandoned prospect mine outside of Wallace, Idaho. Sometime in the 1990s, a plan was circulating within the U.S. Forest Service to develop the trail and the tunnel as historical sites. Unfortunately, that plan was canceled, but not for long. In 2002, our first awardee, a counselor and teacher at Mullen High School, decided to tackle the project. By 2003, the Pulaski Project, as it became known, had secured funding for the development of the trail and the Pulaski Tunnel. The trail and tunnel were brought to their present state of completion in the summer of 2010, just before the Big Burn's centennial anniversary and that event's commemorative celebration in Wallace. It has become a wonderful addition to our region's historical, educational, and recreational resources. From this awardee's package, a quote: "It is by no means an exaggeration to assert that the Pulaski Tunnel Trail would not exist today were it not for Jim C. It was Jim who came up with the idea, who stuck with the idea through thick and thin, and who brought the project to its successful conclusion in partnership with the U.S. Forest Service." It's my pleasure to introduce our first awardee of the evening, and how appropriate on this historic anniversary, Jim C. from Wallace, Idaho. And now, a few words from Jim.
Good evening. The Great Fire of 1910 and the Pulaski story are well known by historians. But following the fire, the location of the Pulaski Tunnel had been lost to time. 69 years after the fire, Carl Ritchie, a Forest Service archaeologist, did the research necessary to locate the Nicholson mine, now known as the Pulaski Tunnel. In the mid-1980s, the listing was granted on the National Register of Historic Places for the tunnel and the escapeway. A roadside sign and a rock memorial were erected. Speeches were made, and time marched on with little more attention given to the site. In the mid-1990s, a friend and neighbor, Mike Green, took me on a hike up the West Fork of Placer Creek and introduced me to the story and the tunnel. Overgrown and off the main trail, the tunnel was slipping into obscurity once again. In 2002, a citizens group, the Pulaski Project, was formed to save the trail and the tunnel site. Under the direction of Executive Director Ron Roizen, the Pulaski Project worked with the Forest Service, Shoshone County, Senator Larry Craig, Stimson Lumber Company, Hecla Mining Company, granting institutions, Dwight and Kay Clift, and many others to restore the Pulaski Tunnel Trail. By August 20th, 2010, the trail was completed, just in time for the centennial commemoration of the Big Burn. Guest register data recorded hiker use from all 50 states and many foreign countries. Hiker numbers continue to increase. In July 2019, for instance, 54 hikers per day were signed in at the guest register. The trail includes 15 interpretive signs along the way. Regional 4th grade classes studying Idaho history typically hike the trail in the fall or spring of the year. Ed Pulaski, the Big Burn, and the wonderfully scenic trail will forever represent, for time immemorial, the events that took place in Idaho's history. August 20th, 1910 will continue to loom large in forest fire lore. The Idaho State Historical Society has added a significant stamp of approval for the Pulaski Project and all our partners in fulfilling our vision of preserving this gold standard trail. May I express my humble appreciation for the recognition provided by the Esto Perpetua Award. Thank you.
And Jim, thank you for all of your hard work, and congratulations on your presentation of the Esto Perpetua Award in 2020. Now, from District 2, our next awardee's contributions as a professional historian and her dedication to public service that advances historical knowledge are unparalleled. Her name is synonymous with Idaho history, with a wealth of information and knowledge about this great state. A champion of Idaho's history, of education, of community service, and as a mentor and role model for others. She demonstrates what it means to be an historian of integrity, a practitioner of skill, and a community member of service. She has many publications. Just to name a couple, we should point out She wrote for the University of Idaho. She also wrote the Heroic Journey, and The Rise and Fall of a Great Mining Company, 1885 to 1981. She has served on the Idaho Humanities Council as Vice Chair of the Executive Board, served as Chair Project Humanist for 28 Idaho Humanities Council projects, 40 plus public presentations, and teacher institutes in just the last 10 years. Also a panelist for National Endowment for the Humanities 8 times. She has received many awards and honors as well, including University of Idaho Award for Teaching Excellence, University of Idaho Professional Women's Association Woman of the Year, and Organization of American Historians Japanese Association for American Studies Residency in Japan. As one of her support letters says, her commitment to public service combined with her abilities as a scholar have enlightened the state for decades. Catherine Aiken is truly an Idaho gem. It's my pleasure to introduce Esto Awardee, Dr. Catherine Aiken.
Good evening, and thank you to the Idaho State Historical Society and the people who nominated me for this award. I do want to acknowledge my husband of 46 years, Joe Schwartz, who is my partner and my biggest booster. I am honored to be in the company of the other recipients, many of whom are longtime friends and associates. The Idaho Statesman columnist Tim Woodward wrote, "If you're tired of Idaho, you're tired of life." And I think that's especially true of Idaho history. We are fortunate to have so many talented people who work diligently to preserve and retell Idaho stories. And I, for one, will never tire of hearing them. Thank you.
Dr. Aiken, thank you for all of the work you do, and I think that I need to come and talk to you, or at least get to browse through the amazing library that was all around you there. By the way, Dr. Aiken is from Moscow. Our second awardee from District 2 is a retired educator, coach, and vice principal at Lewiston High School, where, as a student, he excelled in the classroom and on the athletic fields. He is one of only 2 Lewiston High School football players to earn All-American honors and later played professional baseball. It is said he's reluctant to talk about his schoolboy athletic honors and happy to discuss his longtime passions, though, of local history and the Lewis and Clark Valley. His contributions include serving on the Historic Downtown Preservation Committee for 10 years, served on the first Idaho Territorial Capital Committee from the inception to the present day. Efforts and energy of that committee resulted in the creation of a replica of Idaho's first territorial capitol building dedicated in 2013. He has served on the Nez Perce County Historical Society, served as vice president and member of the executive committee for the last 15 years. And this is what's amazing. It's about 650 hours of dedicated service per year over those 15 years. He became known as the picture guy, volunteering to index and scan the Society's photo library with Mary White Romero. It's an outstanding regional collection of photographs from early day Lewiston territorial capital era to current times. From a letter of support for Ron's nomination, this quote, "Ron has carved his place in the very core of this award with an understanding that Idaho's history is worth perpetuating." Ladies and gentlemen, Esto awardee Ronald Karlberg of Lewiston. A few words.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank all the people who nominated me and wrote letters of support. They were fantastic. Secondly, I'd like to thank the selection committee for this award, which is outstanding. I never believed at any time I would receive an award for something actually I enjoy doing, and I appreciate it. And all my colleagues on the board for the Nez Perce County Museum have been really very generous. So thank you. I appreciate the award.
And thank you, Mr. Karlberg, for all you have done to preserve and share Idaho's incredible history. Now to our first awardee from District 3 in Emmett, the Gem County Historical Society. It was established in 1972. The museum opened in 1974. It has grown into a complex of buildings over the years, which is anchored by the museum. You can see many pictures on your screen of that right now. The museum has grown significantly to provide comprehensive displays, interpretation and preservation of artifacts, photos, and documents related to the city and county's history. The McNeely Resource Library is located in the museum and provides research opportunities and preservation for books, documents, maps, and photos. The Gem County Veterans History Project is also located in the library, documenting histories of more than 2,100 individuals from the Civil War to the present in 75 volumes. And adjacent to the museum is a Victorian residence known as the Governor Frank Hunt Memorial House, as it is furnished with many of the belongings of Governor Frank W. Hunt, who was Idaho's 5th governor from 1901 to 1903. But you all probably knew that already. Since 2002, GCHS has sponsored the River Through Time. It's a free, hands-on living history 2-day event which demonstrates the various themes that underlie the historic development of the region during the last 200 years. It's a lot of fun and it's a lot of learning as well. Families from all over southwestern Idaho, eastern Oregon come to this event every October and walk around the historic stations. Kids of all ages can throw axes at hay bales, pan for gold, try a taste of fresh roasted beaver tail, eat a cup of pioneer stew right from the fire that cooked it. They can watch the blacksmith pound out pot hangers to go over the fire and admire the display of various weapons from the Civil War era. The Gem County Historical Society demonstrates an outstanding commitment to the protection and interpretation of Idaho's historical assets, the use of these assets in educational programs, and the integration of these assets into our community. Our next Esto awardee for 2020 is the Gem County Historical Society in Emmett.
Hello. On behalf of the Gem County Historical Society, we would like to thank the State Historical Society for this prestigious award. And we'd also like to thank Amy Linville and Nick Peterson for nominating us for this award. Thank you.
And thank you very much. And this next awardee goes hand in hand with the Gem County Historical Society. Meg Davis is the curator of the museum and the director of the Gem County Historical Society, having served with dedication since 1998. She is, quite simply, the heart and soul of the museum and the face of history in Gem County. The Gem County Museum has provided a full range of history programs that have often been student favorites since 1974. For almost a decade, the social studies teachers have partnered with Meg Davis and created an elective class called Gem County History. With Meg serving as tour guide and history expert, the students took numerous field trips around the county to listen to the stories of people and learn about the historic places. Meg has a special charm that connects with teenagers, engaging them in the history around them for the sake of them helping to save it in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, Esto awardee Meg Davis, Gem County Historical Society Curator and Director.
I want to thank the Historical Society and Amy Linville and Nick Peterson for nominating us. I feel very humbled about getting this award because I'm just doing what I love to do. I'm saving my family history. My roots are here. But I need to thank the Historical Society, especially the Gem County Historical Village Museum and the Society for supporting me and going along with some of my crazy ideas and working so hard to make our museum and our work with the school children and the living museum what it is. And they'll even dress in period dress when I ask them. Some of them complain, but most of them are willing to get into dress. Hoops and bustles and the whole works.
Mrs. Davis, thank you so much for all the hard work you've done. And it's so good to hear that it's what you love to do, because you do a great job and you're preserving so much history there. Thank you and congratulations. We now move to District 4 in Boise. This awardee and his family are part of the fabric of the history of Idaho. Raised in Homedale, attended college and law school in Idaho, has committed himself in making sure he leaves our state a better place. Roy Agarin has focused his career on making a difference in Idaho. Serving as Assistant Attorney General, he's assisted numerous leaders in our state. He's worked tirelessly on hundreds of pieces of legislation to help improve life in Idaho for residents and for businesses. And at the same time, with all that still going on, he's dedicated significant time and energy to some of the most important historical projects in our state. As president of the Capitol Commission from 1998 to 2003, he helped drive the planning, fundraising, and financing for the more than $100 million renovation of our incredible and beautiful state capitol building. He served as the chairman of the Idaho State Museum Capital Campaign as well, leading a $4 million private fundraising campaign and performing a vital role in the new amazing treasure that the museum now is. It is an incredible facility. He served as president of the Santa Rosa Center for Basque Culture, president of the American Basque Foundation, director of the Boise Philharmonic Association, director of the University of Idaho Foundation, and chairman of the St. Alphonsus Regional Medical Center Foundation. Roy Agarin is committed to making a difference in this state, and just about every part of our state has been touched by his efforts and dedication. So it's my honor to present the next Esto awardee, Roy Agarin of Boise.
Flattered to win this award. Quite candidly, it's very unexpected. I had not realized I had been nominated by my good friend and client, John McCready. So I want to say thank you to John. I want to say thank you to the trustees of the society who actually provided or given the award to me, my colleagues on the Foundation for Idaho History, and all the good folks at the Historical Society, including my good friend and colleague, Jan Gallimore. I understand that the reason for my having received this award relates to my work here at the Capitol, where I drafted the statute that created the Capitol Commission and provided for the restoration and expansion of the Capitol. Also for my work with the State Museum, where I had the privilege and honor of working with the trustees and with the management and staff in raising funds for the new museum, which really truly, I think, showcases our state as something that we should be very proud of. So for me, this is perhaps trite, but it is a moment in history for me in terms of winning this award, as well as the work that I've done that I've just mentioned. So for a family that came to this state through my grandparents and my father, who were immigrants that came to Idaho, it's very especially touching to me to be able to receive an award like this that recognizes the pioneering spirit of our great state and our state's great history.
Roy, thank you for all the hard work you have done and continue to do for our state, and congratulations on being presented the Esto Perpetua Award in 2020. Continuing with District 4 and Boise, Dr. Maria Alicia Garza earned her PhD in Hispanic American Literature at the University of Arizona. That same year, 1996, she joined the Department of Modern Languages and Literature at Boise State University. Dr. Garza's research and teaching areas are Chicana feminist theory, popular culture, gender and sexuality, and the body in Chicana literature. In 2003, the Council for Advancement and Support of Education named Dr. Garza the Carnegie Idaho Professor of the Year. She also received the Associated Students of Boise State University Faculty Recognition Award and the College of Arts Distinguished Teaching Award. These awards speak to Dr. Garza's genuine enthusiasm for teaching and her students, as well as her deep understanding of her subject matter. She has also worked to make Boise State University and its alumni organizations more diverse and inclusive. She, along with a small group of BSU alumni and staff, successfully received a charter for a Latino Alumni and Friends chapter of the Boise State University Alumni Association. This alumni chapter is open to anyone, especially those interested in Latinx culture, including history and language. It's my pleasure now to introduce to you Dr. Maria Alicia Garza, Esto Perpetua Awardee 2020. Dr. Garza.
Thank you very much, Doug, for your generous words. Before I start, I'd like to acknowledge that my words are coming from traditional lands of the Boise Valley people who I highly respect, and I see their history as a rich part of Idaho history. Thank you very much to the Board of Trustees for the Idaho Historical Society. I greatly appreciate that you have nominated me. I'd like to thank, at this time, I'd like to thank Patricia Hoffman and Janet Gallimore and Mark Bresky for organizing me and getting my picture taken and stuff like that, and tolerating I don't want any media stuff going on. And most of all, mil gracias to Alice Whitney. I was surprised. This is an unexpected award. I think that people like Anna Chattel, who was your last year's recipient, should get awards like this. I think of her big contributions to Idaho history and culture. I think culture and history are bound, as someone said earlier. One of them is the Idaho Hispanic Cultural Center, which she raised money for, and she had that this beautiful building in Nampa Caldwell built. Also, she's filled in the history of Mexican Americans in Idaho with her book, Nuestros Corridos Latinos in Idaho, which chronicles the great contributions Latinos have made to this state. And finally, I'd like to not congratulate, but thank the World Languages Department of Boise State University for writing a job description that just described my area of expertise. And that's why I came to Idaho 24 years ago. And I stayed here because of my students. I'll confess, I tried to leave. I'm from the border. But every time I did, my students would say, well, my sister's coming next year. You have to stay here. And then my nephew, and now it's my children. Yeah, so 24 years. So I thank my students. I think this award belongs to them, my students, my Latino students, students who love, and other students who love Spanish and love Latino culture. They've inspired me to study more about Idaho Latino culture and history. And because of that, I've gotten to know artists like Bobby Gaitan and Alma Gomez. And they've inspired me to dig deep and provide them with materials and content that's of their interest. This is their home. And now it's my home too. I've been here 24 years. So thank you very much. I greatly appreciate this award. It's a huge honor for me. I hope everybody has a great evening, and thank you very much.
Dr. Garza, before you mute yourself, I have a question. You said that you didn't want all this media stuff, so I guess I shouldn't ask you for an interview, right?
Oh, I'll try.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much, Doug. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Staying in the Boise area now for our next awardee. She's making a significant contribution to the preservation of Idaho history through her work with the National History Day in Idaho program. National History Day in Idaho is a year-long student-led academic program focused on historical research, interpretation, and creative expression for 4th through 12th grade students across Idaho. She has taught and participated in NHD for many years and sent countless students through the regional, state, and national contests. She's been recognized twice as the National History Day in Idaho Teacher of the Year. In 2016, an incredible honor. She was selected by National History Day for the Normandy Sacrifice for Freedom Albert H. Small Student and Teacher Normandy Institute, and actually traveled to Normandy, France with one of her students, Josh White, to research an Idaho soldier named Ray O'Coffey, who died on D-Day. I had the pleasure of having Janelle Gilson and Josh White on my show Viewpoint to talk about their work. They were able to uncover information about Ray O'Coffey that seemed to be lost to history, but they discovered it and were able to tell at least part of his story. And then in 2018, that student, her student, Josh White, was selected as a World War II Museum Student Scholar, traveled around the whole state of Idaho collecting oral histories from World War II veterans. In 2019, she was selected for the NHD Legacies of World War I program, participating in webinars and discussion with educators around the world to learn about World War I and its lasting impact. A quote from one of her students said, "On behalf of all Mrs. Gilson's students, I think that we all agree that our futures have been changed forever, and thus the legacy and history that is left behind." It's my pleasure to introduce to you Esto Awardee for 2020, Janelle Gilson of Boise.
Hi, my name is Janelle Gilson. I am a teacher at Renaissance High School in Meridian, Idaho. I was shocked and delighted to receive this award. What an amazing thing it is. I have lived in Idaho since 1994, and I have 3 sets of grandparents in the Twin Falls, Idaho Cemetery, 2 of them being pioneers. And I really love Idaho. This has become my home now for the last several years. And as I have taught at Renaissance High School, I teach a class called Research and Communications in the 21st Century. And in that class, I teach my students how to use primary and secondary sources. I've incorporated a program called National History Day, which is a wonderful program that's nationally recognized. And I have my students create projects, and they create local, national, or international projects based on a theme. And then these kids, if they do really well, they can go to nationals. Through this program, it was my pleasure to receive an award to be part of the Albert H. Small Sacrifice for Freedom Normandy Institute, where I and a student of mine, Josh White, we researched a local Boise man named Ray Coffey. Ray was just a local kid who became a miner and was eventually placed in demolition, and he fought during World War II, where he was killed in the fields of Normandy. And that's where my love affair with Idaho history began. I just love Idaho history and the amazing people that settled this area and the amazing people we have now currently. I'd like to thank Joanna Bringhurst for all of her support with National History Day. She's our state coordinator for National History Day, and she has become a real friend of mine, and she's just amazing in her position. I'd like to thank my husband and my children, and those people that have been so supportive, the parents and the kids who have participated in National History Day. It really makes teaching worthwhile, and I love it. Thank you so much for this award.
And thank you, Janelle, for all the work you're doing with the students to really inspire them to love history and to help preserve and tell those stories as well. Janelle, thank you and congratulations. Staying in Boise now. This next awardee has spent 4 decades engaging all Idahoans in the state's rich history, served with distinction as the museum director for the Idaho Historical Museum, a member and officer of the Boise Museum Association, served for more than 20 years on the Idaho Association of Museums and numerous positions on the Western Museum Association, assisted in guiding the creation of the brand new Idaho State Museum. Also participated and contributed to the Get Territorial Idaho at 150 initiative, Essential Idaho exhibit at the State Museum. Established community partnerships, including the Mexican and Japanese consulates. She was instrumental in realizing Pioneer Village. That's the incredible outdoor interpretive showcase that sits just outside the Idaho State Museum on the grounds there in Julia Davis Park. She secured professional accreditation of the Idaho State Historical Museum, which was one of the first museums in the West to achieve this national commendation. And 15 years ago, she was instrumental in serving on a volunteer board for the city to recommend the creation of a brand new City of Boise department dedicated to art and history. That is now the Boise City Department of Arts and History. And in her retirement, Jody Holly Ochoa continues working with the Boise City Arts and History Department and continues to serve as chair of the Arts and History Commission. It's my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce 2020 Esto Perpetua Awardee, Jody Holly Ochoa.
I want to thank the Idaho State Historical Society Board of Trustees for awarding me with the Esto Perpetua this year. I'm so very honored and grateful. And when I read the names of the others getting an award this year, I was also incredibly humbled. Being on the same list as some of my personal heroes is so nice. I really wouldn't be standing here at all if it weren't for the amazing colleagues I've had the privilege of working with at the Historical Society. My 34 years with the agency went by pretty fast, and many amazing people were a part of that journey. It seems I was always very fortunate to be on strong teams, and it's that partnering work that got us here. When I first became a member of the museum staff, I never imagined that I be standing here so many years later in this beautiful space and be able to look back at a new museum. I love that. And I also love that to see the old pen thriving under Amber's leadership. And I love that the whole agency works together, thanks to Jan and the leadership team. Everyone working together helps history be accessible for everyone else. I'm so thankful for the many gifted and knowledgeable Idahoans working in our state's history field. And for so many years, I had the good fortune to work side by side with so many of you. As a member of the Idaho Association of Museums, I was able to travel across this state and meet some incredible and countless local heroes. I got to work with people like Mary Reed and Keith Peterson at Latah County, Diana Dykus, Patty Miller here in Boise, and Sister Carm at St. Gertrude and Cottonwood. There's so many more. And I can honestly say that there are great people working in every corner of this state, keeping our buildings, papers, objects, and stories of Idaho history safe. I was also born and raised in Boise. Feel very fortunate to live in a place where history, arts, and culture is thriving. I admired the work of so many wonderful people and organizations here. I think of the Idaho Commission on the Arts, the Idaho Humanities Council, and I'm particularly fond of the work and accomplishments of the Boise City Department of Arts and History, very near and dear to my heart. Terry and her team are doing such great work. And then there are two of my favorite women in Idaho history, Elizabeth Jaycox and Barbara Perry Bauer of TAG. I met them both when I started working for the museum, and I've watched year after year that the contributions they've made to our field are amazing. So what a joy it's been to be able to roll up my sleeves alongside all of you to do the work we love. I believe we achieve great things in Idaho because our field is filled with people who are so passionate. You are communicators and collaborators who excel at bringing history and culture to the forefront. And in this strange new world we currently inhabit, it is so comforting to know you are all still out there working hard to keep our history authentic and complete. I feel very blessed to have had the privilege of working with so many of you incredible souls. Thank you. You're all inspirations to me. I'm also very grateful to my husband, Ricardo, and my children, Tony and Donna, who have supported and participated in this journey all along the way. Love you guys. Thank you again to the trustees for all of your efforts on behalf of Idaho history, and thank you for honoring me with an Esto Perpetua.
Thank you, Jody, for all you have done. Obviously, the list is impressive, and you've always done it with a smile and a heart as big as gold. Thank you for everything you've done. Your legacy is definitely secure. The next awardee in Boise, arrived in Boise in June of 1972. Within 2 years, he had written a series of articles dedicated to saving Boise's old buildings. He helped found a local preservation organization called Friends of Old Buildings that led to a statewide magazine called Idaho Heritage. He's co-owner with Royanne Minskoff of the Governor Morrison House on the historic State Street block between 2nd and 3rd Streets. A board member of the Idaho Heritage Trust, chair of the Southwest Idaho Regional Committee, founding chair of the Cabot, then the Log Cabin Literary Center. He helped save the building and negotiate the lease with the city of Boise. A partner in White Savage Associates, a renovation company that owned the White Savage, the Belgravia, the Patterson, and saved the Idaho Hotel in Boise, as well as historic buildings in Idaho City, including the Miners Exchange there. As I mentioned, founder and editor-in-chief of Idaho Heritage Magazine. Also served on the Egyptian Foundation Board, whose goal was to save the historic Egyptian Theater in Boise, and project historian for Historic American Buildings, Idaho City Project. Alan Minskoff began lecturing at the College of Idaho in 2001, and since 2004, he has held the position of Director, Journalism Minor at the College of Idaho. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Esto awardee, Alan Minskoff.
Okay, I wanted to first thank the Idaho State Historical Society for this award. I greatly appreciate it, and I'm honored by it. And next, I wanted to thank my colleague at the College of Idaho, Diane Raptosh, for sending in my nomination. I can't imagine a better person. I am sitting at 211 West State, which is the home of former Governor John T. was the home of former Governor John T. Morrison, who built this house, and my wife and I restored it and renovated it according to plans from the State Historical Society in the late 1980s. We've owned it ever since, and it does speak to my abiding and long-standing love for fixing up and restoring and fighting for and writing about historic buildings. I suppose when I first came to Idaho in the early 70s, I moved here permanently in June of 1972. The first skirmish I got into was the fight over downtown Boise. And I was part of the group, Friends of Old Buildings and others, who fought to say that we better hold on to our heritage because we can't get it ever again. And I have to say, I think with the help of many others, Joan Carley, Ken Howell, and others, downtown was a victory. We have many of our best historic buildings still there. Now, it is an ongoing fight around the state, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Idaho Hedge Trust, where I have been a board of director since the mid-1990s, who have been a great supporter of preserving our historic patrimony, our buildings, our sites, artifacts. Historic preservation matters for a lot of reasons. It matters to me because I want to go into a city and understand how it evolved, not just what is happening there. I think one of the lessons of the 21st century is planned cities like Brasilia and others are empty of that connection to our past. I am proud that Idaho still has many, many small towns with intact main streets, and that some of our bigger cities are starting to really appreciate their past. So I dedicate this award to historic preservation and to historic preservationists around the state. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan, for all you've done. You said it so well. When we lose those buildings and the artifacts, they're gone forever. So thank you for preserving them, and congratulations on the Esto Award for 2020. Our next awardee, also from Boise, came to Idaho in 1972. She taught social work at Boise State University and was Idaho's first African-American professor. An advocate for human rights, she understood the power of history. Dr. Mamie Oliver's pioneering work highlights the enduring impact of Black Idahoans on communities across the Gem State. Her Idaho Ebony series and Blacks in Idaho's White Press tell the story of Idaho's history of cultural diversity. Governor Evans appointed Mamie chair of the first Martin Luther King Jr. Task Force in 1985. After 5 years of campaigning, Idaho became the 47th state to adopt Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a state holiday. Today, Mamie is a pastor at Mountain View Community Fellowship. She continues the legacy of the vibrant African-American communities she has studied. Dr. Oliver is a community organizer, pastor, and caring visionary who possesses a passion for serving. It's my pleasure to introduce our next Esto awardee, Dr. Mamie Oliver.
I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to the Idaho Historical Society and the staff and all the persons that really feel that I have done something worthwhile. I'm just a person that provides service in the community, and as a servant, I feel that I've tried to do things that would make a difference in this community. And having made a difference, I hope it'll last beyond my breathing time. And I'm so grateful for having the opportunity to just have you know that I'm thankful to this entire community, not just the Historical Society, but the entire community. And all of us need to think in terms of, can we perpetually serve others? So I appreciate it. And on behalf of my family and those that know that I'm trying to be a worthwhile human being and a good citizen, God bless you and thank you.
God bless you and thank you, Dr. Oliver, for all you have done. And your legacy will certainly go long after your breathing time, as you so eloquently put it. Thank you for everything, and congratulations on this year's award. Moving to another part of the state now, District 5. This awardee arrived in Idaho in the 1970s and has been an active preserving Idaho history in a variety of ways, researching the history, teaching it, and telling the stories of those that came before. He has led summer field tours into central Idaho for more than 20 years, visiting most of the key areas of Haley Gold Belt, Land of the Yankee Fork, and the outreaching areas of Custer and Lemhi counties. He's taught Idaho and Pacific Northwest and American history for the College of Southern Idaho. He was an Idaho Humanities Council member and the Speakers Bureau since its inception in 1991, delivering talks for 3 decades to civic groups, historical societies, teacher conferences, and many other organizations. He also helped manage major National Endowment for Humanities grants in partnership with the IHC to the staff that explored the U.S. Constitution, Idaho Constitution, and Idaho state and territorial history that includes a series of traveling exhibits, also reading and discussion programs and summer institutes for Idaho teachers. From the 1980s to the present, he has participated in numerous teacher institutes, seminars, lectures, conferences, and other public programs exploring Idaho and Western history. And he has served on the Idaho State Historical Society Board of Trustees with distinction from 2005 to 2017, and as chairman, advancing the value of history and historic preservation at the local, regional, and state levels. Our next awardee from Bellevue, Idaho is Tom Blanchard. And Tom, I just want to say congratulations. It has certainly been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit and to talk to you over the years. You are certainly a treasure trove of history and you have such a passion for it. It's been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit. Congratulations on being an Esto Perpetua Award winner after all the work you've done for all those years. Tom?
All right, thank you, Doug, and good afternoon. Well, it's a great honor to be included in the company of Esto Perpetua awardees, now I think 169 strong. So my thanks, of course, to the Historical Society for the award, to Joan Davies for the generous nomination, and to my wife, Florence, my copy editor, a historian in her own right, and for her years of tolerance of my obsessive collection of Idaho books and ephemera and a passive writing voice. I've always been drawn to the thrill of the historical chase, you know, filling in missing links, finding telltale documents, and those things that kind of color our story of the history of Idaho. For instance, finding a barrel of papers from the Jensen family of Haley when I gave a presentation on the Idaho Constitutional Convention, to which Frank Jensen in 1889 was selected and rejected as a delegate from Haley. His grandson Art was in the audience and he came to me to tell me about the barrel of his grandfather papers in his garage, which are now safely stored in the Ketchum Community Library. And another one is receiving the personal papers of Don Bemco Bennett recently, a renowned Sun Valley artist who saved his letters and news clippings from his fight against the Castle Peak Molly mine. This struggle culminated in the creation of the Sawtooth National Recreation Area in 1972, the election of C. Sanders, and the founding of the Idaho Conservation League. Bemco hired a helicopter to fly him from Haley to Castle Peak, and he took pictures up there, which he returned with a roll of 35 millimeter slides. And then he did a 32 by 19 charcoal sketch, which has never been seen by public before. Again, went into the community library. You know, another fun one was recovering 9 archival boxes of documents after 4 years of searching for the widow of Don Hackey, a Boise City archivist who was researching a book on Irvin Rockwell, the owner of the Minnymore mine near Bellevue from 1889 to 1940. And then finally, one of the great pleasures of discovery is browsing the great bookstores of the Pacific Northwest, from Butte to Spokane, Portland, yesteryear in Nampa, and the Walrus and Carpenter in Pocatello. As a fellow Esto winner, Karlberg noted, I've never expected an honor from something I've enjoyed so much. But history is more than just fun. Thinking historically becomes a way of life. History requires a level of questioning that uses evidence. To support a narrative requires critical thinking and a balancing of conflicting evidence. But I sense there's a threat to historical thinking now. Using facts to support argumentation is denigrated as elitist thinking. the insertion of unsupported alternative facts as QAnon supporters are elected to Congress. In the great bookstores of the Pacific Northwest, I worry about our future. And I challenge all of us to support the Historical Society in their effort to promote the value of history, critical thinking, and the use of evidence to support conclusions. Once again, it's an amazing honor, and thanks to everyone who supported this.
Tom, thank you very much for all you do and have been doing and done for so long. You do it very well. Congratulations again, sir. Staying in District 5 and moving south now to Twin Falls. This awardee taught German, history, and social studies in Hanson and Twin Falls secondary schools between 1978 and her retirement in 2008. In the classroom, she always used artifacts for teaching and for historic preservation. She became a member in 1998 of the Twin Falls County Historic Preservation Commission. While chairing the commission, she coordinated a $10,000 Idaho Heritage Trust survey of the Auger Falls area west of the Perrine Bridge in the Snake River Canyon. In 2007, the commission steered the community in developing an elaborate brochure titled Twin Falls, Idaho and the Twin Falls Country. This brochure contained a creative blend of text and pictures. It stimulated enough interest that in the following year, the American Association of State and Local History at Nashville, Tennessee, gave the commission an Award of Merit. Also, from 2007 to 2014, she served on Idaho State Historic Sites Review Board, and between 2012 and 2018, she was a member of the Regional Advisory Commission representing historic archaeological interests for the Bureau of Land Management. That's in the Twin Falls District, in Twin Falls, of course. In 2020, she was appointed board member of Preservation Idaho in Boise. And recently, she has collaborated with others to achieve the National Register for Restoration efforts at the Rogerson School in Rogerson, Idaho. It's my pleasure to introduce our next Esto awardee, Shauna Robinson of Twin Falls. Shauna?
I'm Shauna Robinson, and this is Dr. Jim Gentry, my friend, history colleague, and a 2013 recipient of the Esto Perpetua Award. I would like to recognize you, Jim, for all the work you did in nominating me for this wonderful award. It's such an incredible feeling and honor to be recognized for work in history, what I actually think is a labor of love to research and teach about our great state.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you. And I'm especially grateful for all that Jim has done, not just with organizing a nomination, but with his work in history and also helping to make this moment possible for me. Thank you so much. And I'll have you hold this if you don't mind.
All right.
The many history projects I have had over the years have taken me on quite a journey that's directed me to experiences in archaeology and preservation and outreach programs that really enriched my understanding of Idaho's heritage. Along the way, I crossed paths with many individuals who were quite inspirational and helped me in learning and understanding in greater depth what Idaho is all about. And I have such a special appreciation. I would like to recognize some of those individuals. I don't, because of time limitations, I can't list everybody, but I would like to recognize those who had the greatest amount of influence, such as archaeologist Jim Woods, Donna Turnipseed, Priscilla Wiegers, and Suzanne Henriksen, and preservationists like the now retired Ann Swanson, and of course Paul Smith, who's done so much with Idaho and Twin Falls County. And also I would like to recognize the volunteer efforts of those who I work with on the Twin Falls County Historic Preservation Commission. And without the support of my family, this journey may not have even happened. Thank you to my daughter and son-in-law, Jenny and Brian, for your enduring and endless support of my projects. and history lessons, and for listening to my stories. To my husband, Zeke, I'm forever indebted to you for your sense of adventure and for your willingness to help with all of these projects, no matter what the field conditions or the road conditions might be. My expressions of gratitude certainly would not be complete without mention of those who work so tirelessly to protect Idaho's history each and every day. I'd like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the staff at the Idaho Historical Society and the state trustees, who work to protect our resources and who, under the most challenging conditions, made this virtual program possible. The state of Idaho is most fortunate to have such a capable and professional group overseeing our most valuable resource, our heritage. Thank you so much.
Well, Shauna, the state of Idaho is so fortunate to have someone like you looking over the heritage and the history of South Central Idaho, and we appreciate you. Thank you for all you do, and congratulations. We're going to move a little bit farther east now to Pocatello in Bannock County. After graduation from Idaho State University, this next awardee became a teacher at Pocatello High School. Local history is his hobby. He loves to photograph historic structures and then write articles about their construction and use in order to preserve and share that information. Some of his recent topics have included railroad houses, public works structures, and community lodges, among others. And these articles are shared via the internet in a blog called Did You Know? And by way of presentations and classes for groups like New Knowledge Adventures and the Bannock County Historical Society. This awardee has extensive knowledge of historic artifacts. He's volunteered as a judge at local fairs for 30+ years in the category of antiques. His passion for history and historic objects has led him to serve as a volunteer for the Bannock County Historical Museum over several decades now. In that capacity, he has identified and restored artifacts, cataloged collections, identified the ages and subjects of the museum's historic photographs, and has served multiple terms on the BCHS board, most recently 2 consecutive terms as board president. Current projects, he is involved in researching the history of Molinelli's Jewelers. Molinelli's, established in 1903, is the oldest jewelry store in Idaho to operate continuously under the same business name. This awardee is always willing and able to help and makes it clear in both deed and attitude that accurately preserving the past for the future is of great importance to him. He supports and advocates for history literally every day. Esto awardee Arlen Walker of Pocatello. Arlen?
What an honor and a surprise it was to be awarded this by the Idaho State Historical Society. And I'd really like to thank them for their support and recognition of my efforts in the preservation of history. I'd like to thank Lynn Murdoch, who recommended me for the award, Jim Johnston, a longtime friend and supporter, Deb Mullins, who works at the museum, and a few others who always help with historical research. Trent Clegg, the research librarian at the Marshall Public Library, Ellen Ryan at the archive at ISU. I also like to thank Mary Lean, former director of the Bannock County Historical Museum, for whom I used to volunteer, and whose sheer joy at the preservation of the small things of history helped pique my interest in the local history of our area and of Idaho as a whole. Without those people in the community who preserve and store historical records, the job of the historian would be that much more difficult. History has always been my hobby, and I've always liked the way that things connect. When I taught school, I wanted to teach my students one thing, and if only that one thing, it would be to ask questions and to find out the answers. And that is the job of the historian. Once again, thank you.
And thank you, Arlen, for everything you do to help preserve the history of Pocatello and Bannock County. Congratulations on the 2020 Esto Perpetua Award. Moving farther northeast now to Rexburg, this awardee is a 6th generation Idahoan. The first of his ancestors came here in 1876, settling in the mining town of Galena. later immigrating to Rexburg in 1892. I love this part. His father said that he was born 150 years too late. As the historic buildings in Rexburg began disappearing, he made sure he acquired the doors to those buildings, and he hopes to use the doors and build a museum in his father's granary in Hibbard, calling it Doorway to the Past. He was also able to preserve the first pump organ brought to Idaho on the wagon, by covered wagon to Eastern Idaho, owned by Brigham Young. He preserved it, and it was later donated to Ricks College in Rexburg. This awardee and his wife co-chair the Madison County Centennial Committee, specializing in the history and pictures of Madison County. 100 plus historical pictures now hang in the Madison County Courthouse. Also a member of the First Sons of the Utah Pioneers and served as president, served on the board of directors of the Rexburg Historical Society, and was a member of the Upper Snake River Valley Historical Society, and currently a member of the Rexburg, Idaho chapter of the Sons of the Utah Pioneers. At present, he and his wife are compiling a history and pictures of southeastern Idaho, starting with the original mother county of Oneida, which was established in 1863. The book begins in 1750 and continues to 1941. They have also completed the histories of several counties, including Franklin, Bear Lake, Caribou, and 5 others. He has published several books. Rexburg 20th Century Book Lore Club, 1933 to 1994, a history of an early women's literary club in Rexburg. Also, along with his wife Marty, wrote the book Rexburg and assisted with histories and pictures for Romance Theater. This awardee has been referred to as the scale master of history, researching and preserving the history and treasures of the past and bringing those histories known to the present public. It's my pleasure to introduce 2020 Esto awardee, Lowell Jensen Parkinson of Rexburg. Sir? You're going to need to unmute your computer there, first of all. Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
Probably sounded better on.
Hey, Zoom is all about that kind of stuff. It's all right. We wanted to make sure you got your time.
Okay. I wish to begin by thanking the Idaho State Historical Society Board of Directors for this prestigious Esto Perpetua Award. I'm very humbled and very proud of this honor. And I wish at this time to thank Louis Clements for nominating me for this award. When I was 5 years old, I would pull my little red wagon around the town of Rexburg and stop and talk to the old men sitting on benches in front of the theaters and pool halls. I cruised the town looking for old homes, old people to tell me their stories. I even asked if they had any old photos, furniture, tools, and pictures that they didn't want. I ended up over the years with 4,000 historical pictures of southeastern Idaho and 3 storage units of historic Idaho artifacts. And I might add, I stopped pulling that wagon around Rexburg some years ago. I was inspired by several people who are Madison County storytellers or historians. Louis Clements has been my mentor and supporter. Cleo Johnson, an inspiration in how to research history. Dr. Merrill D. Sambeal, who wrote many stories of Eastern Idaho. Phineas Tempest, I love that name, who came to Eastern Idaho in 1883 and kept a journal every day of the happenings of the Rexburg community. Judge William Steibel Petit, who collected over 3,400 pictures of the Upper Snake River Valley. And John Earl Garner, who told me as a little boy stories of the Native American Indians who camped above his father's ranch. They'd come and shoot the rock chucks during the day. They'd build a bonfire. They'd throw the rock chucks, entrails and all, into the fire. The fire would burn off the hair. And once it looked like it was cooked, they'd pull it out of the fire and they have what you'd probably call rock chuck on a stick. I will never forget the stories that he told me. I owe everything to my wife, Marty. We have an LLC called Prospecting for History. We both dig for the history and she completes the project by typing it. My motto has always been to ensure the pioneers are remembered. If their names are written in ink, they will never be forgotten. Idaho is a treasure trove of history. Embrace it, enjoy it, protect it. Thank you.
So well said, Mr. Parkinson. Definitely 4,000 pictures, and it all started, well, pulling around a red wagon. Thank you for all your work you've done over these years, and I'm pretty sure rock chuck on a stick is a fair food at the Eastern Idaho State Fair.
That's good thinking.
Thank you, sir, and congratulations. And
thank you.
We appreciate all you've done for the history of Idaho.
Thank you.
But this time, before concluding our evening, we have a special message right now from First Lady Teresa Little.
Good evening. Our most sincere hope was that we would be able to be together this evening to share time, conversation, and celebration as we recognize the 2020 Esto Perpetua Award recipients. This unique time in history does not allow for that to safely happen. We are disappointed, yet we are fully resolved to support the health of everyone. Congratulations, 2020 recipients. You are a unique and stellar group of individuals. I am delighted to know some of you personally. The focused dedication and reputation of each of you has preceded our being together virtually this evening. Your contributions of time, talent, and treasure have added to the historical perspective and knowledge for all Idahoans. The governor's and my gratitude is deep and abiding. Thank you. Congratulations. Take care and be well.
The perfect message for the times we are in. And I want to say that, as I mentioned at the beginning, this has been a different year, but different makes it special as well, and also historic. And I hope you agree with me that for the first time, doing something like this for the Esto Perpetua Awards, statewide, with so many attendees, all through teleconferencing, I think it went pretty darn smoothly. And I hope we never have to do it again. But hey, one time to go this smoothly and this well with so many incredible awardees, I say a thumbs up. And I really want to say congratulations and thank you to Tricia, Allison, and Mark, and of course Janet Gallimore at the State Historical Society for making this presentation with all the beautiful pictures and slides and the Zoom meetings and all the coordinating they had to do in really a fairly short time period to make it all come together. It just went really well. And also just to say finally that hopefully we'll all be able to get together next year in the beautiful Idaho State Museum, all the awardees from this year, as well as next year's class, perhaps. And we can say thank you and congratulations in person. But until we can do that, please know that from the deepest part of my heart, thank you to all of the award recipients this year for doing what you do. I have a passion for history. That's why I've been hosting this for so long. And I appreciate so much what you do. I've been able to learn from a lot of you, and so many thousands of others have been as well. Congratulations on your being awarded the 2020 Esto Perpetua Award. You certainly deserve it. Thank you for all you do. We hope that, as I mentioned, we can do this next year in person. I want to say good night, stay healthy, stay safe, and until next time, be well. Congratulations and good night.